The Ryan and Ryan Power Hour podcast on SportstownChicago.com.
Buddy, you're a boy, make a big noise, playing in the street, gonna be a big man someday. You got mud on your face, you big disgrace, kicking your can all over the place, singing, we will rock you. We will rock you. We will rock you. All right.
Welcome in to the Ryan and Ryan Power Hour here on SportstownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
And I'm Ryan Risky.
And, it was obviously a very disappointing night for Chicago sports.
Way to just go out like not champs last night.
Right, as the Bulls got blown out, not even by LeBron James, not by Kyrie Irving. They got blown out by a bunch of bums, essentially, with Matthew Dellavedova and James Jones and whoever else. And, I mean, Kyrie Irving was gone in the second quarter, and you still couldn't do it. And James only had 6 points in the first half.
Yeah, I think he only finished with 15 for the game. And, I mean, it was just a frustrating game because I'm thinking, man, this is going to be a good game, 33-31 at the end of the first quarter. And then
Right.
the Bulls just only scored another 40 points after that.
Yeah, I think it was pretty much right after our show, Sports Renegades, is when the wheels started to fall off for the Bulls. So maybe we caused it. I don't know. But it was obviously just the worst way possible to go out.
At home, I mean, it's one thing if you lose by like 20 on the road.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, granted, this isn't as bad as what happened to the Milwaukee Bucks in Game 6.
No, it's not nearly as bad as that, but it sort of has that same feeling.
Yeah,
I guess
it has
what
that same
the
bitter
Bucks fans
feeling.
were feeling.
Yeah.
I think it's similar.
It's just a bitter feeling. You don't feel good, and I mean, it's sometimes it just gets annoying waiting for next season because you're sick of waiting till next season. I want it to happen now.
Right, and nobody wants to wait, for all that stuff to happen. And now you have the longest off season in the world because, you don't know what's happening.
What's going to go on?
I mean, the whole organization, like Derrick Rose. I mean, obviously he's still here, but I mean, Derrick Rose, is he going to be back at full strength? Is he going to, really work this off season? Jimmy Butler and his money, Tom Thibodeau leaving, and now you have to search for a new coach.
Yeah, and I was
a lot of
reading
work to do in one
and
offseason.
people are saying that Fred Hoiberg is still the Bulls' number 1 target. I'm just
That's what I
why?
saw, which I've voiced my opinion on that. I don't like that. I don't think you like that move either. To me, going with a college coach is not the way to go right now.
Unless it's like a really good college coach. I mean,
Right.
this guy's not even a good college coach.
I mean, I haven't heard that Fred Hoiberg is one of the top college coaches.
Exactly.
So I don't understand that. He brings his team to the tournament every year, but I mean, 68 teams go to the tournament. It's not that hard to make the tournament if you're a somewhat decent school and a decent conference.
And
it's not that hard to make the tournament.
Yeah, someone needs to tell that to DePaul, though.
Right. Well, DePaul's not a good team. That's the issue. But hopefully
they turn it
Dave
around.
Leto
though.
can turn that around like he did when he was back with DePaul in 2002. But the whole issue is Fred Hoiberg to me isn't the guy. I think you go after Monty Williams in New Orleans. I think that would be a good fit because there's a lot of talk saying Tom Thibodeau is linked to the New Orleans job now. So maybe Fred Hoiberg.
I read there's about 20 teams that'll
stay in Iowa.
20 teams that will garner interest for Tom Thibodeau. And Orlando's one of them. New Orleans is one of them. I mean, and really, if the Bulls front office fires Thibodeau, if I was Jerry Reinsdorf, I'd fire the front. John Paxson and Gar Forman because there's no way that I would believe them if they told me that they couldn't get anything in return for Tom Thibodeau in a trade.
The one thing that John Paxson and Gar Forman are good at is they always do a pretty good job in the NBA draft, and we've seen that
late
in
the late.
Yeah, and we've seen that the last 3 or 4 years. They've had really good draft picks. I mean, Jimmy Butler, Nikola Mirotic,
not Marcus
Taj
Teague.
Gibson, Tony Snell, even. So I mean, although a lot of these players maybe are playing good because of Tom Thibodeau and such a good coach. I don't know if you'll get the same result from Monty Williams or something.
Yeah, I don't think they'll get those kind of results because Thibodeau's good at developing guys, the defensive abilities and rebounding techniques, and. I mean, James Johnson, that was a miss. Marcus Teague, that might have been one of their worst picks.
The Bulls have had bad picks too, but a lot of their good picks have been very under the radar, and they've all worked out so far.
Yeah, except the problem is you can't build a team with those picks.
No,
I mean you can't.
I mean, imagine
not those players. You can't just build a team when you're picking in the back end of back in the last 5 picks of the first round every year.
Obviously, starting next season, starting 5, and the 8 best players on the Bulls are going to be healthy because they have a whole offseason. But, it's going to be interesting. Joakim Noah won't play nearly as well without Tom Thibodeau, I wouldn't think. And, eventually, Taj Gibson could see a starting role, which he might see anyway, and Mirotic too. And
the only problem is that won't happen for a couple of years, which I think Taj has 2 years left on his deal. Same with Pau Gasol.
Right, and I love Taj Gibson and everything, but he's not going to play that well without Tom Thibodeau there coaching him, or
Taj
someone
did
similar.
Pretty good with Vinny Del Negro.
Yeah, he
had
did,
a good rookie year.
And it looks like the Bulls are trying to hire someone opposite of Tibbs just because that they don't like him. So I think you'll see somebody opposite, someone who really manages time, someone who maybe isn't as aggressive, and I think that's why they're looking at Fred Hoiberg too, because Fred Hoiberg seems like sort of a laid back guy, and he's a college coach, so he knows how to manage minutes and manage time for that matter, as far as preparing for games and everything. But I just don't think that that's the type of coach you want in the NBA, especially for the Bulls, because, I mean, this was probably their best chance to go to the finals.
Since 2011.
Since 2011. And now, they get knocked out in the second round again, which they did 2 years ago.
Now, what could happen, I mean, next year everyone will be healthy, assuming Powell plays really well in the regular season.
Yeah, everyone will be healthy because they'll have 6 months to get ready.
And they keep Tom Thibodeau. I think they can make a run to the conference finals and possibly the NBA finals. Cause
it's possible.
Joakim Noah was just not playing well because he couldn't. He was too injured to play well. I mean, that's an important piece of that team.
Right.
When Timothy Mozgov is out playing you, I mean, there's a reason. I mean, I didn't think they could win it without Noah being maybe more healthy.
And obviously he wasn't. And now you look at Cleveland, and they get to sit pretty and wait for Atlanta and Washington, which will probably go 7, just because they're 2 teams that are sort of equally matched. Even though their records in the regular season wouldn't tell you that, they've been regularly matched. Atlanta has a 3-2 lead. I think Game 6 is tonight. That'll be at Washington. So that's why I say Washington probably wins and goes to a Game 7. Meanwhile, Cleveland gets time off. Kyrie Irving gets to, save time on his knee, and he gets to prepare and be healthy. And James gets to work on his ankle. And yeah, they'll probably be close to 100% healthy when they have to play Atlanta or Washington. And I can tell you, it's probably going to be just as easy as it was for them to beat the Bulls, to beat Atlanta and Washington.
Yeah. I mean, the Bulls did kind of give Cleveland a lot. They didn't really have much else to give.
Right. Well, and let's not forget, I mean, Game 3 ended on a buzzer beater. They could have easily gone to overtime, and I don't know if the Bulls would ever win in an overtime against the Cavaliers, especially against LeBron James. So, they won those 2 games, but they really only dominated 1 game, and that was Game 1. Where they led throughout the whole game.
Yeah, I mean, it was a close series. I mean, games 3 and 4 could have gone either way. Game 2 was going to Cleveland. They almost came back in Game 5.
That's true, but that had more to do with the Cavs letting down their guard than it had to do with the Bulls playing really well in those last 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, the problem was, Mirotic just was not shooting at all in the playoffs. So it was Game 5, he was 1 for 9 shooting.
Yeah, all he had was that half-court shot.
Yeah, that's the only shot he made.
Yeah, some just crazy heave from behind the half-court line.
Yeah, he couldn't make another shot.
No, of course not, because when the playoffs come, the Bulls don't like to show up. They play with the playoff intensity in the regular season, then there's not another gear that they can get to.
Yeah, I mean, every team, in order to perform in the playoffs, you have to take your game to the next level, and the Bulls can't do that because they already had taken their game to that level in the regular season. Then guys are tired. I mean, look how well it's been working for the Blackhawks.
Yeah, it's. I mean, everything's worked out pretty well. I mean, in the regular season, the Blackhawks don't necessarily coast, but the Blackhawks, play well enough to get a good seed in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, that's
and then come playoff time, they turn it onto a different gear, and boom, you sweep Minnesota.
I mean, that's the funny thing. I mean, the Blackhawks usually have some struggles in the regular season. They'll finish in a decent spot, Yeah, I mean,
which nobody really, has a problem with. Everyone's so confident. All the fans, all the players, and the team is confident that as long as you make the playoffs and you assumingly have home ice, which would be nice always, then you'll have a good shot, of making it to the Stanley Cup every year.
I mean, it's not like they're it is. I mean, they get a pretty solid seed. I mean, it's not like they're that team that's squeaking in every year like the Kings do, or like the Kings did.
Right.
But the Hawks, they're one of the top teams in the conference. They other than the 2013, they really have just kind of been a good regular season. Yeah. And then
the only year they won the President's Trophy was the year that they won the Cup in 2013, right?
Yeah, so in 2010 they were the number 2 or number 3 team.
Yeah, so if the Bulls could
I think they were number 3
try to mimic what the Blackhawks do, which is hard because hockey and basketball are two different sports. Obviously.
Yeah, and the Hawks are just so good.
Yeah, and the Hawks have 2 future Hall of Famers. The Bulls have possibly none, but
yeah, really, so, probably. And the Hawks they have 2+. I mean, you never know with Duncan Keith either.
Right. He could definitely go down as one of the better defensemen, especially offensively, as far as goals scored and everything.
Yeah, and defensively. I mean, he's won the Norris Trophy 2 times, which goes to the best defensive player in the league.
He has. So just to wrap up on the Bulls discussion, it's going to be one long off season. That's for sure. Yeah. Well, hopefully the Bulls hire the guy that they feel is the right thing because it's obviously important that the front office and the coach have a good relationship.
Right. I mean, unless they decide to keep Tom Thibodeau.
Yeah, if they decide to keep Tom Thibodeau, but see, I think it's time to move on anyway. I mean, I would love for them to keep Tibbs, but if they keep Tibbs, I feel like the Bulls are going to be in the same situation. I mean, it could get worse with a new coach, but I feel like it's not going to get any better. I don't think you still aren't going to beat Cleveland in the second round or the Eastern Conference Finals. Hopefully you can, but you definitely. Tibbs would have to change his whole way of thinking with coaching, and I think that's probably impossible.
Yeah, probably.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll come back. We'll preview the Blackhawks and Ducks series, which starts in Anaheim Sunday at 2 p.m., so noon start in Anaheim. And a little later on, we'll talk about the Cubs. The Cubs have an afternoon game today, pending on the weather. We're not quite sure if it's raining in Chicago right now. But that game's supposed to tip off, I think the
first pitch is at 1:20.
Yeah, not tip off. I'm still in the basketball mindset. Yeah, the first pitch is at 1:20. So we'll keep you posted on that as well. You're listening to Ryan and Ryan here on SportsTownChicago.com. The Ryan and Ryan Power Hour podcast on SportsTownChicago.com.